Hey guys, welcome back. Um, yeah, today I'll be making a tier list of the monsters in Monster Hunter Wilds, giving my own takes, maybe hot takes, rating them from S to F. Um, yeah, so how about we get this list kicked off? Okay, we'll start off with the monster that we encounter first, Chadacabra. Because I'm going to be grading these between design and the fight. He's going up an A tier. Right? Now, hear me out. The fight's not difficult, right? It's not difficult at all. However, it is the perfect introduction mod. You can't get any better than that. Perfect for testing out new weapons that you've never played before. Perfect warm up for newer players that have never played. And the design actually isn't that bad. It's like a jacked toad mixed with a gorilla. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong there. The fight isn't difficult, but it deserves A tier just solely because I think it's the best introduction monster that Monster Hunter has ever provided. That's all I'll say. Okay, who is next on the list? Who did we face next? Where's the chicken? Where is the chicken? The Chematrice. I mean, average of average. Yes. It's a chicken at the end of the day, right? It's a chicken. A chicken on its way to slowly going back to a T-Rex, I feel like. I feel like that was the plan with this one. Fight wise, definitely a bit harder than the Chatacabra. I think newer players will learn that, you can't just swing at a tail and expect it not to be hit back. First status element that gets applied to fire. So the fight still relatively easy. Still, I'd classify it similar to the Chatacabra as sort of like a glorified dummy. Yeah, I think it's average. It's not bad. It's not good. I think it just gets dropped down into the C tier. Okay. Yes. 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 If only for the design, I'm putting this in S tier. I love this one. The design is amazing. It's like a cute spider. Cute spider with a rose, but is also deadly. Okay. For newer players as well, I mean, this is the first hero monster that we run into that is actually mobile, dances around, can be a bit of a problem when you're trying to hit its legs. Some newer players might struggle to consistently attack this monster. Um, a little bit of a tip here: if you hit the focus points on it, it's almost always going to turn it on its back. So yeah, just hit the focus points. The fight is enjoyable. The hardest one up to this point. So the design alone would put it into S tier for me. And because the fight itself isn't bad, this one's getting S tier. I don't know if that's a hot take for you guys, but I'm putting it in S tier. Okay, here we go. Who was up next on the list? Is it the Angalala? Was it? I think so. Yeah, he's going in F tier. I'm sorry. That might be a hot take. I don't know. It's a pink fat monkey that farts and shits on you. There's not much more to it than that. Let's be honest. The fight in itself is very simple. He just brings in a bunch of little monkey assistants. Doesn't do a lot of damage. It's just nothing really goes on there, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's a hot take, guys, but that's personally what I believe. Who was next on the list? The Balahara. I don't know. This one deserved to be in B. I feel like the design is in B, but I found the fight very boring. I feel like this one's going into C tier, but we'll put it ahead of the Chematrice. The design isn't bad. The kind of triangular jaw that opens up. I love the idea. Interacts well with its environment. Digs under ground, jumps up, spits out what I think is oil. The fight is definitely mm, I I don't know if it was considered harder than La Labrina. The tail definitely gives a lot of problems. That tail, for some reason, I don't know why, but I just never time it. I have like a 50-50 chance of timing it correctly. Um, so yeah, it's not bad. It's not great. It's gonna go middle of the pack at C tier. Um, and I think it's okay. It might even be top of C tier. Okay, what was the monster that we faced after? Um, wasn't the Doshigama? I think we went back into the rainforest, and it was the there. No, no. I hate this guy. I hate this guy. Way too big for a screen. Okay, way too big. Takes up about 60% of your screen. The design they were going for isn't bad. I think they just scaled it to a monstrous extent, right? Which was not needed at all. Um, yeah, I like the little fins or whatever you want to call them. The design doesn't look that bad, but the fight, oh my god. Honestly, it might very well be my least favorite monster to fight. Just it jumping around, the wind up times are incredibly long, which for some reason makes it weird to block and evade correctly. I don't know what it is about it. But yeah, I'm putting it in D here. Yeah, look, some of you might disagree in the comments with that. Let me know if you do. I personally don't find the fight enjoyable. And I actually think a lot of newer players might find this one troublesome as well. Okay, where are we going to go this one? Who was next? Was it the Doshiguma? Was it the Doshiguma? I think it was. Um, A tier for me. A tier for me. Someone in Capcom said, guys, why don't we make a monster that's like similar to a grizzly bear? They did it. And it works. It works pretty damn well, to be honest. Really well done. The design is simple. It's simple design, but works very well. The fight in itself is definitely challenging. I won't put it nearly as annoying as the Uthaduna, but definitely provides a bit of a challenge. I feel like this is like maybe the first monster where newer players or maybe some not great veterans might run into and be like, okay, it's time to start using pots. Um, so yeah, overall, I'd probably give this an A tier, deserving of being one of the known monsters before the game came out. So definitely enjoyable. Okay, what was after that? I'm trying to remember in the campaign. Where did we go after that? We went to, was it? What was it? The Irabachi? I don't think so. I think we went to the oil spring after that. Anyway, let's start off with the monkey anyway. This one's a B tier. Definitely better than Angalala, but that's not really saying much. Um, it's it's definitely good. I won't put it at the same level as a Rajang, but definitely good. I do love the design when it gets into its molten form. The fight is is actually good in the sense that it can be challenging at times. So the fight isn't bad, but the design, you know what? Maybe it's like bottom A tier. Maybe it's actually bottom A. When it goes into its molten form, it actually does look pretty badass. Well, at least in my opinion. This one's actually going. Well, we're probably gonna put it bottom A tier. Probably bottom A tier. Okay, what was next after that? What was next after that? We had we only have a few monsters left. Um, the new Udra. This one's a bit weird. This one is a bit weird. Originally, my first time fighting this, I hated this thing. The let's just say the attack patterns were off, and it was very cunning. Like you'd think it's going for a slam, and then it would just do a spin instead. The design is definitely 10 out of 10, right? First octopus they tried, and they did it very well. Can't complain. Super well designed. Love the eyes. The fight is actually, be honest, as the out of all the fights in low rank, I probably found this one the most difficult. This one's probably the one that gave me the most trouble. So I'd probably like the fight in terms of difficulty for low ranks. I feel like this is gonna be the real difficulty barrier for the new players, and will probably be the first monster to give a lot of players some trouble. So yeah, this one's going into S tier for me. Where are we now? We are going into base Nursilla, isn't it? Nursilla. The fight is good. Its design isn't as good as Lalabarina. Okay. But that's okay. I'm not expecting him to nail every single. Um, the fight is good. Poison mechanics, I don't really like them, but yeah. But the fight is actually a little bit difficult. Definitely not as, I wouldn't say it's as, maybe it is a bit more mobile than Lalabarina. Does a bit more damage. The fight is definitely harder, I think. It does more damage as well. So the fight, the design is maybe like B tier. The fight in terms of difficulty might be like an A tier, but in terms of enjoyableness, probably like a C tier. So I'm gonna round it all down at the end as like a B tier. So better than average of the pack, but nothing really outstandish, shall we say. Yeah, that's where we're gonna stop with that one. What was next? Where else do we have? How could we forget? How could we forget? He's going up here. Ray Dow. Ray Dow. This guy. Honestly, just he's a railgun. Is a railgun. You can't go wrong with that. The fight is enjoyable. It gets better in high rank because he does basically an RKO out of nowhere. Um, very enjoyable. He's kind of like a Seregios from the older games, except done better. That makes sense. And stuck a railgun on top of it. The fight was pretty enjoyable. So I'd say the fight was like an A, but the design is such an S tier that it pushes it from A to S tier. Maybe bottom S tier. Can't believe we forgot that. Uh Rom Popolo. Low. Low. So many lows. And it's going down low as well. Yeah, I just don't like it. It's a weird design. I don't know who's designing it. It's just a weird design to me. The fight itself is more of a nuisance, just a bunch of underground explosions and poisoning has you running around using antidotes quite often. And it's also kind of once you get hit a couple of times and you memorize sort of its pattern, it's a very easy fight. Um, Especially if you're using like shielded weapons or even the longsword, very telegraphed attacks. So yeah, I'd probably put it down into F tier to be honest. I it has by far my least favorite design out of all the monsters, and the fight is just not that good. So yeah, we'll put that in F tier. Who will we pick next? Next, yeah, we go with the Hirabami. The fight. This one might be like bottom C tier. I don't know. I feel like the design is a bit weird to me because it's like too small for me. I need to see a big monster in order to feel like threatened. Not like Uduna big, that's ginormous, but like it just feels like there's no threat there. And it's a very, you know what? No, because it's a very annoying fight because they're always flying. And I don't like how often they fly. It's like a mini Rathalos with how much time it spends in the air. So yeah, the design isn't bad. A flying cobra with talons on its tail, not that bad. But I definitely don't like the fight. Like, bring some flash pods, I guess. I personally found the fight very sort of easy, I guess, but that was only because I ended up getting lucky with a bunch of knockdowns from the air. But I've definitely fought them where I had to bring flash pods just to make the fight somewhat bearable. Okay, where are we now? We're getting there. Ju Wu, a B tier. I classify him as a knockoff of New Udra. Okay, he's kind of like they spent all their time working on New Udra and then just kind of forgot about Ju Wu and were like, yeah, just kind of see what you can do there. Yeah, he's a bit of a difficult fight considering, everything's good until he pierces you with a tentacle. I'd say the fight is definitely one of the harder ones, but I don't like the design. Design is a bit, you know what? But the fight sort of keeps you on your toes. I'd put him above Nursilla, maybe top of B tier, but I'd be skeptical to go further than that, to be honest. I probably wouldn't go further than that. Okay, where to now? Who was next? Did we get to the Guardians at this point? I think so. We had Guardian Rathalos. You know what? I think this was done well because for some reason, to me, Guardian Rathalos doesn't actually spend as much time in the air, and I feel like they ramped up its moveset with extra explosions, which I was not expecting. It's probably going to go into A tier. Rathalos already looks like a really good monster. It already looks like a really good monster. And I feel like the Guardian sort of lines and aura that they gave him actually make him look a bit better. They've made the fight less about being in the air. They bring him down more often, so that's obviously a plus. You know what? I did enjoy the fight more than I did with Doshiguma. I won't put him top A tier, but definitely beating Doshiguma by a bit. Um, then after that we had the Guardian Doshiguma. I enjoyed it a bit more than the normal Doshiguma fight. So it's got to go a bit in front of the ordinary Doshiguma. What was after that? Where did we go after that? We're at Arkveld now, aren't we? We're closing in on the Arkveld. Oh, we forgot about Ebony Odegaron. Um, like, I love Odegaron. The design for Odegaron is 10 out of 10 for me. Fight wise, maybe I just got very lucky, but I found the fight was enjoyable, but I found it very fast. But that could have just been because I just got a bunch of lucky with knockdowns. The fight is good, but I'm not gonna put him in S tier because the fight wasn't anything jaw dropping. I'd probably put him bottom of A tier. Um, but yeah, I don't think many people will complain about that. We have a lot of A tiers, so I mean that's good for the game. A lot of the monsters were enjoyable to fight and had a pretty cool design. Who else do we have? Who else do we have? Oh, going in, we forgot about Jin Dahad. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. That meme of like Knuckles going like approved, approved. I love the design of Jin Dahad. Jindahan has an amazing design. The fight is a little bit kind of slow, I guess. You're kind of just going at its legs. So, you know what? No, I'm being biased here because I'm solely putting in an S just because of its looks. But the fight was actually the base game fight, so the low rank fight was actually me very boring. But the high rank fight where you get to hide behind the ice pillars and stuff, like that was pretty good. I'd probably put him here. If we were to go design only, he'd be S. And I think we're at Arkveld now. We are at Arkveld. Yes. That's all I'm going to say. Yes. I feel like Capcom kind of ditched their whole kind of incorporate the monster into the environment here and just went for an all out crazy design. And it worked. It worked. And the fight is very enjoyable. Lots of explosions. Yeah, I don't know. There was just something about this fight. I even made a video on it. Maybe not the best video considering it was like my first video, but like I genuinely found the fight very enjoyable. It's definitely up there in terms of difficulty. Like I feel this one will be not as difficult as New Udra, but might give some players a little bit of difficulty, especially the newer players to the series. Who was next? Who was next? Oh yeah. How could I forget? Jeez. Zoshia. This one's a C for me. Hot take. Hot take. Hot take. Might be a hot take. I think it's lukewarm at best. Um, I personally don't like its base form design. In its final phase, looks really good. Base form design, I don't really like. The fight was kind of just very plain, very slow. Trying to compare to it was kind of like Xeno'jiva in a way, but like it didn't look as good as Xeno'jiva. That's how I'd probably describe it, I guess. So yeah, it's probably getting. You know what? It's definitely better than those. So we have to do it some justice and put it here. Okay, now we're back to some of the monsters from previous games. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so Gypsaros and Yankukut. Older monsters, nothing special. The designs are pretty plain. Um, there's not much to go about here. The fights are, they're your first kind of real high rank monsters, so they hit a little bit more hard that you would expect them to. But in terms of, I'm gonna swap the two there just because I prefer the Yan. Um, but no, there's just nothing standoutish about them. I feel like they're just fights that you just have to sort of get through, but like you'd never want to do them. Um, where do we go from here? Ah, yes, the two staples. Hmm. Yeah, we'll go Rathalos. Two staples. The fights haven't changed a whole lot, but there was nothing really wrong with the fights to begin with. So designs are designed exactly how they always were. They always had good designs. The fights are definitely more enjoyable than the lower half, I'd say. So I'm just gonna put them in here. Um, not much more to say on that. Who's up next? The Fulgur Anjanath. I love the design, and you know what? He's gonna go here, right ahead of Guardian Rathalos. This guy hits like a truck. He hits like a truck. All those lightning attacks. Definitely one of the harder monsters game so far. When you turn around and you just see him flying at you with his jaw open, not fun. Um, but I think it was an enjoyable fight. The fight that you fight him in originally, you have to fight a tempered Lala Barina as well. But I don't know. I just enjoy it. I like the look of Fulgur Anjanath. I like its lightning abilities. Just looks good overall, and the Guardian form of it, I think, adds a little bit extra to it as well. So I think it's A and A tier. Um, okay, we're coming up to some of the final ones. Okay, as I like to call him, Mini Mountain. I don't like fighting this guy. I guess I'll put him top of F tier. I don't know, it just everything bounces off him. He's a slow walking mess with a laser beam. I don't know, I just find nothing about it particularly enjoyable. Some people might disagree, but it just looks like a monster. That's sort of it. There's not much more detail to go apart from that, you know? Um yes, Ice Monkey. Uh you know what? We'll put him the very bottom of D tier because he's better than Kongalala, but not by much. Not by much at all. Um, his design is maybe a little bit better. He's definitely a more enjoyable fight because he actually does some damage and he has some level of threat. But apart from that, it's just pretty, pretty low on the list. Okay, yes, okay, yes, and yes. Arch Tempered Arkveld and Gore Magala, two of pretty damn difficult fights. I'm not the best monster player, but those are some two difficult fights I struggled with. Now, to be fair, I was trying to learn Charge Blade at the same time, which didn't help. Longsword main here. Um, but in terms of design and the fights, both of these get S tier. So if I was to rearrange this, I'd probably put Lala Brianna down here. Was the fight was good, but was it enjoyable? No, I think Gormagala beat that, and I'd say the two tempered Arkveld then here, and Arkveld goes here. I think that looks good to. I think that looks good to me. Yeah, I guess that's my list. Mizutune, we don't know where she's going yet. So I guess we'll leave her out. Um, I oh, in all the other games, I like the Mizutune fight, so I presume she's probably gonna be up here somewhere in A tier. Depends what they do with her, to be honest. But yeah, that's my tier list. Let me know, guys. Let me know, guys, what you found enjoyable in the game. Any fights that you found enjoyable. Which ones you hated. Which ones you liked. You know, I might have some hot takes, some lukewarm takes in there. Those are just sort of my opinion on the matter. You guys can give me yours, and yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time, guys.